We mention on this show a lot about reputation, ethics, standards, and quality. And some of our businesses are nominated not just by our local community, but other top quality businesses. And probably the greatest compliment, because a quality business knows other quality businesses and they know what that standard is. And they typically will not put their name or reputation on another business unless they meet and exceed those standards. It would be a direct reflection of them if they were to send somebody to another business that didn't treat their customers with that respect. Why would they bother? They have no opportunity to gain from misinforming somebody. So the greatest compliment I think a business can receive is a nomination through another top business. Quite possibly one of our most respected businesses nominated our next guest, and for obvious reasons. We believe after you get an opportunity to get to really know on an intimate level our next guest, that you will certainly want to take your vehicles to them. They have so many different services that you can do all under one roof. I think the greatest thing is when a quality business owner with quality business practices has additional services, additional businesses, that means that they transfer all of those qualities to each and everything they do. And without a doubt, that is true with our next guest. It's a pleasure and a privilege to introduce to you Rob McMullen, owner of RPM Automotive in Reno, and several other businesses we're going to get to in a moment. But Rob, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mitch.
Tell us a little bit about your experience and your history in our community as well, so they can get to know you.
I moved to Reno in 1978 and finished my high school years here and a little bit of college, and started my education in the automotive industry at a very young age. And at that point, felt that the automotive industry was exactly my calling.
Well, I think I can relate to that. I've been at it for over 3 decades. There's a passion for cars that just came to me genetically. When I was a kid, driving down the street, I would name cars that were in front of us. So it used to, my parents were always fascinated by how I knew every car on the road, and then I wound up in it for a career. So I understand that passion for cars. So tell us a little bit about the businesses. Let's start with RPM Automotive that you own and operate.
RPM Automotive was derived from the original business that I purchased here locally in Sparks, which was Scotty's Transmissions. When I bought the business, specialized only in transmission repair and replacement, and saw many vehicles coming in while doing transmission repairs that there were other things that needed to be done. And so it was kind of a natural transition that if the vehicle's in there, we might as well take care of everything on the vehicle and not just take care of the transmission problems.
Well, and that's generated by your consumer saying, why would I want to take this anywhere else? I love you. I trust you. Can you please start doing these things for me too, is how that I'm sure developed.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I just wanted our community to hear that. That wasn't just I just decided to do some other things. It's usually a forced thing. And it's kind of interesting because I think I mentioned before that that's kind of how this show even originated, is we're out to educate consumers and then we're asked to present them to the top quality businesses. And that's how the show was even created, and I'll get into that later. But then you also have a couple of other businesses, and let's talk about those real briefly as well.
Again, as I mentioned, Scotty's Transmissions. Clutch Pros, we specialize in clutch replacements. A clutch job is not just replacing parts. There's a lot that goes into making sure that the complete system is operating the way that it needs to in order for a clutch to do and what it needs to do and get the useful life.
Same thing, different part selections for that, quality of components that you can do, and then the technicians training in doing that. You're right. We're going to touch on that with RPM, and I'm hoping that our listeners will also understand that level of knowledge and commitment of your technicians transfers to everything else you do. And then you also have the Lube.
Lube Pros, which is our drive-through lube service, preventative maintenance type services.
And again, I'd like to, since we're on that, touch a moment about that, because we've had a reluctance to interview these, in and out, change your oil places, because there's a lot that goes into that they're not achieving, and our community has asked for that. So I'm going to take a moment, even though we're talking about RPM today, and touch on that, because this is not a 10-minute oil change.
Absolutely, Mitch. It takes longer than 10 minutes to do a proper and thorough safety inspection on a vehicle. We can't bring it in. We can't do what I believe is the right thing to do with the vehicle, and so that we can let the consumer know what level of condition the vehicle is in.
So, this is my biggest problem with a lot of these in and out oil change places, which, unlike yours, they typically are not using the highest quality filters. They're not using the highest quality oils. There's several ratings on oil that people are unaware of. They're using, unskilled labor to do these changes, and they're not inspecting the cars, which is, going to potentially save somebody thousands of dollars if they'd have found something now rather than later. And tell them a little bit about that whole process then.
Well, the difference is it's for us, it's not about car count. It's about the quality of the level of inspection. If you can imagine, we work on a fleet of police vehicles. And do you think they want to just bring that vehicle in and have the oil changed? That's not the goal of the fleet manager. He wants to make sure that that vehicle is in safe, proper working order. So when they have the need to use that vehicle at the maximum capacity, it's going to be taken care of properly.
Well, it's good news for them they use you. It's bad news for the criminal because they're probably not going to break down while they're in a chase, chasing them. So
that's right.
It's a good thing that they actually bring their vehicles to you. So let's get back now, if you don't mind, to RPM Automotive. And you just mentioned that you service a lot of fleets in town, and that's what RPM really is fleet maintenance and service, correct?
It is, Mitch, and that's kind of by design. I've been in the fleet industry for most of my career, and grew up, got my teeth in it, and at one point was overseeing the repair and maintenance of over 1,000 pieces of equipment for a large utility company.
Well, and we have, I'm sure, a lot of business owners that are listening to our show, so it's important that they know where to take their fleet. But to a fleet, this is really important because if a vehicle's down, you have a technician's time, you have loss of revenue. Tell us a little bit about how important it is for them to keep their vehicles in tip-top running shape and on the road.
It is, and we understand that because it's their office, it's their toolbox, it's their means of transportation to go out and generate revenue for their company. And so it is very important that the levels of inspections that we're doing, the quality of the parts that we're using, the quality of technicians that are working on those vehicles.
Well, don't just skip over that. Let's talk about the quality of technicians, because in any good shop with any good practices, they're going to, like I mentioned before, even in your oil change part of your business, it is not about car count, as you said. It's about quality. And that stems right down to who you're willing to retain and hire in their certifications. Tell us a little bit about that.
Correct. I'm a firm believer in you get what you pay for. And the technicians that we hire and train, the majority of them are ASE, Master Certified Technicians. At some point in their experience with us, we expect that. We expect that level of training and commitment to our industry.
Well, and here's what I think is fascinating, and I challenge anybody to come by your shop and shops all in one location, which is even more convenient for the consumer because they can have you do several things in one location. But the last time I was there, I actually had to walk out into the shop. You were underneath the hood of a car working on them yourself. So it's not just that you retain people, you're qualified yourself, and you're involved in the day-to-day operations of that business.
It's to me, it is important to not only understand the business side, but to have the background and the knowledge so that when I ask a technician to diagnose and figure out what's wrong with his vehicle, I'm not asking them to do something that I wouldn't go do myself. And so it is important, and it builds a level of trust between my employees and myself when they see me out in the shop working. And it is on a limited occasion because that's not my role in the company, but it's something I still really enjoy.
Well, it's not uncommon if you're not out in the shop that you're up at the counter helping people. I mean, it's just that it seems that you're involved day to day in the operations of that business, like it's personal to you or something.
It is personal, Mitch. I'm such a firm believer that there is no right way to do the wrong thing. And it's a core value that I have, and I try to convey that to my employees, my customers, and throughout that it is important, and I live it, breathe it every day.
So where does that come from? Just curiosity. I love to ask that question. Where did you get it? How did that come to be, who you are, and why you get an opportunity to be invited and honored on a show like this as a top in our community?
My father owned an automotive repair business back in the Bay Area when I was growing up, and really great experience. I can remember going down to the shop as a young boy, and they brought the race cars from Fremont Raceway. And my father got to set those up on a dyno, one of the first shops in the Bay Area to actually have a dyno. And as a young boy, being down there with the race car drivers and having the experience to be around the race cars, I think that's where I got my aspirations to do what I do today.
Well, and you mentioned thorough safety inspections. I haven't asked you this before, but when you say that, I'm assuming that you do offer pre-purchase and pre-sale inspections for the person who wants to sell their car and be able to provide a report to a consumer as well.
We do, and I recommend that anybody out looking for a used vehicle that take the time to take that into a shop and have that safety inspection done, because there's a lot of hidden things that you won't see. The car may be beautiful, but there's hidden problems.
Well, and I just had a call before the show from a member of our community that had not done that, and we're going to talk to them after the show, and we'll probably ask them to be a guest on the show so that we can hopefully prevent this from happening to somebody else. But that inspection process from a qualified shop like yours can allow them to do several things. Know what's wrong and what they need to spend to fix it and have you take care of it when they buy it, because some things are worthy, still okay to buy that car over, or other things are, saving them a lot of grief and aggravation by having it inspected and knowing this is not a car worthy of their purchase. Talk to me a little bit about part selection, and I know this transfers into the Scotty's Lube Pros, where your part selection even on filters and oils, and but it goes into every one of these operations that you use, the part selection process.
That's right, Mitch. The level of quality of parts, reflects the level of quality of the job itself. If you cut corners by cheap parts, in my mind, you get a cheap job. And so for that reason, we do stay at the highest level when it comes to quality on our parts.
Here's what I think is interesting, and I hope you'll take a moment and share your perspective on this, that I find interesting, is today in our community, in our economy, I should say, that money is so precious that people are really always looking for that bargain. But what they're not realizing is sometimes that discounted cut rate has a cost. And the cost is the quality. And how does that occur for you as a business owner that refuses to use low quality parts, yet still has to remain competitive in that market? How does that occur to you?
Competitive, that's a pretty wide, broad spectrum, Mitch. I don't try and compete with the shops that are selling inferior parts and have inferior mechanics working for them. My job, I believe, is educating our consumer that, again, you get what you pay for. That to do job right with the highest quality parts that you can get, it costs a little bit more to do it that way, but the end result is you have a better product and more reliability.
I would actually put that one up for a bet with anybody who says that it may cost a little bit more, because when you don't have to do it a second time, when you don't have to do that service, if you use the right parts would have lasted 90,000 and yet you're having to do it again in 60,000, by the time you count the number of times you'll have to replace or repair an inferior part, it doesn't save you money. And in the long run, it costs you more.
And that's true, Mitch. Think about it. We put at minimum a 1-year warranty, and in most cases a nationwide warranty on the parts that we install on our consumers' vehicles. And if we have an issue with those parts, it can be taken care of at my shop. It can be taken care of at any other shop anywhere in the nation.
Well, and let's talk about the ease of getting a car into you and out. You have a significant number of bays in your shop, and you also care about the consumer security as well while the vehicles are there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. We have 14 bays at our location. We have one of the cleanest shops in town. You can come into our waiting room and feel very comfortable, and it's clean. You can sit down, relax, read a book while we take care of your vehicle. Our facility, the yard is lighted and gated. We have security cameras and motion infrared motion detectors out in our yard to secure those vehicles while we keep them overnight.
Well, and also one of the things I think is interesting is that I found this, where you go out and you get something done, and then something does go wrong, you can't find your receipt, and that's not even a concern with you. Your systems are fully integrated so that they don't have to worry about that with you.
That is true, and one of the best things that we have, especially for our fleet clients, is if the fleet manager wants to know what that vehicle has cost them over a year, 2 years plus, our records management system keeps that history forever. We can go in and we can look it up and say, you know what, we did this at this point, and here's what it cost.
Well, and I know that RPM Automotive does fleet repairs and service, but that's not all you do. You do everything for just about every body.
That's correct, Mitch. We started with a focus on the fleet, and because I saw the need for it and my experience working in the fleet industry, but we work for the general public as well, and a lot of our referrals, a lot of our customers come from our fleet clients. The companies that we work for, their employees make that connection that, boy, if they're taking our company vehicles down there, then it's probably a good bet I'm going to take my vehicle down there.
Well, again, I will say to our community, if you're not hearing the level of commitment, the level of quality and integrity that goes into a proper business from your current shop, then give RPM Automotive a call. And whether you have a single vehicle or a fleet of vehicles, we endorse them as one of the top quality businesses in our community and are proud to have them a part of our group of businesses. And thank you for being here today, and we hope to have you back soon. It's Rob McMullen, owner of RPM Automotive. Please share with them how to get a hold of you, where you're located, and phone numbers and emails and websites.
Our address is 1510 Glendale Avenue in Sparks. Our website is www.rpmautomotiveinc.com, and you can go to our website, and you can actually schedule an appointment right from our website.
And once you do, please send us an email how happy you were with them. We love to share those as well with our community. Again, a privilege and an honor to have you a part of our businesses group. Thank you for being here today.